All right. Are we on? Can you hear me? Doesn't seem like it. On. All right. Should be just about here, just about ready to go. Get some things put back together. Yay, I'm glad I can be heard. All right, so fun story. I'm about 3 minutes from starting, and I have everything set up, everything good, and OBS crashes and deletes everything that I've worked on, because apparently it didn't save properly last time I did that. So here we are. But we should be good. I'm hoping. Let's see here. A couple more things to just get back together here, but we are looking good. Maybe. Okay. One more thing. The music's really loud. Okay, give me a second. Okay, good there. Turn it back down a little bit. All right, how's that music sounding now? Ah, got it. Okay. Turn that back up a little bit then. Okay, I think we're good to get going. Perfect. All my mics are working. Everything is looking good. Now I can maybe focus on actually doing the stream. Okay. So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out. I'm excited to get this started. Chirp chirp, ready to go. I'm excited to get this going. I am going to post a quick update on B-Sky just to get the ball rolling, and then we'll get going properly. what we're going to do today is I've got a few things. I had some stuff really worked out. Now that a lot of my setup has been undone, definitely going to be kind of figuring that out again as we go. Now, let's see here. Let's pull back up. Live. Welcome everybody. All right, now that we're good to go, let's actually get started. Now, today I'm going to be working on a couple of things here. Namely, I have a couple custom sets of collars, cuffs, and various other things that need to be done on their next, kind of put on their next step in my construction process. So the first thing that we're going to do is burnishing. Now, burnishing is something that I'm not hugely fond of, but needs to get done. And what it's going to do is it's going to actually allow this leather to become a little more water resistant, a little more structured, and it helps just kind of keep the leather nicer for a longer period of time. Now, in this case, I am going to be using a Dremel. We're going to be going through it. I'll be keeping an eye on chat. The Dremel is a little bit loud. I do have some noise gates set up. Hopefully they're still set up properly for all of this, but they should allow me to burnish and work without it being like deafening to you. If that's the case, or if you hear too much excess noise, let me know. I'm kind of discovering this as we go, so by all means, we're all here to learn. All right, let's get it put on. Okay, some of my tools here. Swap this out real fast for one of my flat bits, or I guess flatter bits. So what we're going to do is we're basically just going to run across the flat side of the leather here. This sort of allows us to kind of like smooth out and burnish the backside, and then we'll actually switch over and do the edges, and I'll be doing that right about here so that you can see what I'm doing. Now, for this, we're going to want Toconal or burnishing gum. There's a few different products that you can use. Toconal's what I've always used, so it's kind of going to be what we're going to go with tonight. Grab that. Grab one of my daubers here. To me, Toconal's kind of just one of those, it's kind of like a glue or a gluey substance. It's a kind of resiny compound of natural materials that just kind of helps sink in and just kind of makes that leather nice. So we're going to give this a nice coating first. For the back side, I'm mainly going to focus on the part of the collar that is not going to be flushed up or back against both good questions. Before we get going, I'm going to check on the mic. But as for PPE, generally, it's not a toxic substance. In fact, it's actually a pretty non-toxic substance. I don't worry about it being on my hands. I do wear eye protection to ensure that it doesn't get in my eyes, but I'm not worried about it getting really anywhere else. It can be wiped up with a damp cloth, and it's not a dangerous material. When I say resin, I mean a more natural resin. All right, let's see. Let's see, does the mic sound any better now? Are we still catching some feedback here? Okay, I think I know what this might be. We're gonna try to adjust some things here. What I might end up doing is that. Okay. I mean, streaming in the evening's the fun part, right? You get to relax. I get to work on stuff. Um, yeah, this when I say resin, I mean like a natural resin. So think like a kind of a beeswax or a bee material, bee resin. In fact, on this is a gum. So this is actually like a tree, like natural tree resin. And all we're gonna do, just give a nice wipe down here, make sure it kind of sets in there. Like I said, I'm only focusing on this portion. This is going to be anything past here. It's going to be what's actually visible and what's actually, handled consistently. All of this is going to have backing on it, and so it'll have a little more structure and support. All right, here we go. All we're doing is we are getting, and actually let's see, yeah, okay, it's picking up. All we're doing is we are getting the fibers of the leather to kind of lay flat in a different orientation than they do naturally. Then this compound is actually just going to help them stay laid flat and give them kind of that natural protection or that natural barrier you're looking for. It's still very smooth, but just like that, we're done. Kind of see some of that. I don't know if that gloss is going to kind of pick up on the camera. In fact, I kind of expect that it won't, but that's what we're looking at. The back sides are always the easy, kind of fast part. It is the edges that we get to do that always take forever and are probably one of my least favorite parts of doing any leather project. And again, welcome to everybody who's here. I'm excited to be doing this. I'm hoping this is just going to be kind of a chill stream, something that we can enjoy together. Just listen to some good music, chat a little bit as I work and try to get some of these projects done. All of these projects, well, most of these projects are commissions or orders that I do through my leatherworking business. So these are things that I make for that business. Sometimes if I don't have projects, I may just make some stock or I may try some new things. You'll see some fun stuff, hopefully, as we get going. Tonight, the first focus, though, is getting some of our orders going. what I do there sometimes is I will just take the Dremel and go through. Um, that's a good point. Um, Again, I actually had this all figured out. I was super proud of all this. I had it all figured out, had it set up where it cut out the lines. In this case, all of that's gone now. I get to redo this after this stream and try to get this working all again. For now, though, I will cut off the mic for the moment, and I will turn it back on when I go to answer any questions or chat. But yeah, so I'm going to mute the mic. We can just listen to some music for a little bit. I should be able to get through some of this initial burnishing pretty quickly, and we can talk about edge burnishing a little bit. Okay, that is the flats done. Pretty quick, pretty painless. The edges are where it gets a little bit more interesting, and definitely a little messier on my part. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Now, also, hi, welcome everybody new. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for watching, following, and just giving me a chance on this. Now, the reason we do edge burnishing is you can see that right now, even though this has been cut, there's a lot of kind of rough edges to work with. You can see that shine of the burnish on the flat side, but the edges are still really rough. We want to make sure that that is smoothed out, because we want this to be something that's comfortable. We want to make sure that it feels good and that it doesn't catch or snag on anything or come undone or kind of just wear faster. Now, to do that, we are going to swap out our burnishing tip here. And I could hand do all of this. In fact, I used to do this all by hand. Hi, Zaris. I used to do this all by hand, but it was exhausting. And I didn't get as good of a burnish. You really kind of need that friction and that speed buildup, and so a Dremel or a dedicated burnishing tool is really important to kind of get that for me. See, my mods are going to town here. So I've swapped out for a different bit here on the Dremel. You can see it's kind of a grooved bit. This is going to allow the leather to go in there. It's going to kind of help round out those edges really nicely. Now, what we're going to do here, there will be some more burnishing, unfortunately. I can't get away from that right now. So I will be turning the mic off again here in just a minute, once I get everything set up. In this case, we're going to try a new tool. This is a vice grip for my Dremel. We're going to see if this works. Again, the end goal here, I would love to have a tool that is a tabletop dedicated burnisher. Unfortunately, I don't really have that option right now, so we're going to make do with what I've got. This is just barely on screen here, but you should be able to see this at least a little bit. We're just going to kind of run this along the underside of the top side and see if we can't get that that edge really nice and clean. All right, here we go. All right, so you can see how the difference a little bit. You've got a nice burnished edge on all fronts on this now. As compared to kind of that rougher edge that you can see, hopefully see in the camera. Well, no, let's see if I can raise that up and get it visible. Yeah, you see some of that leather sticking out there, even if it's not in focus. So that's what we're getting rid of. We're hopefully going to give a nice kind of smoothed out edge, something that's easy, comfortable, and looks good. So I'm gonna throw this back onto mute and try to kind of truck through the remaining sets of these, because once I finish this, we're done with burnishing for a little bit. I can turn all my mics back on and chat as we work for the rest of the evening. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, and we could absolutely chat as soon as I'm done with all of this. All right. Thanks for stopping by, Ginger. Zaris, no, I don't think you did show me that. Hi, welcome. Thanks for the follow. Good to see you here. Um, I am almost done. We've got two more pieces of leather to burnish here. I'm going to take a bit of a break because the mic's been off for a little bit. Also, I want to drink some water and not burnish, but burnishing hell, as I like to call it, is nearly done for the night. Then we get back to some of the more fun stuff, some of the stuff that I can actually talk through instead of just running a Dremel nonstop. But yeah, yes, gotta stay hydrated. But yeah, how's everyone doing tonight? All right, let's see. After this, what we're going to do is we're going to shift gears and I believe we're going to go into doing some leather cutting. I have a little bit of cutting that I need to do to make some falconry anklets, so we're going to need to draw out some patterns and actually cut the main bit of leather for those. So, pattern, go drink some water. Water breaks for everybody. All right. I am nice and hydrated. Um, I'm going to jump into these last two pieces of black leather here, and then we can put the Dremel away and try to turn on my other mic, see if we can't enjoy some leather cutting. My other mic on the table is currently muted, but is actually set up kind of to be pseudo ASMR mic, so you should be able to hear a lot of the leather um, cutting and noises that go along with it. I'm hoping kind of soothing or enjoyable. We'll see. If it likes to catch my voice up a little bit too much, we might have to turn it back off. But once we get over to the cutting, we'll get into that and give it a shot. See you later, Zaris. Have a good night. Hi, Hoagie. Welcome. Um, we're just finishing up some burnishing. I've got one more piece of leather to do, and we're going to switch gears, focus on some more fun stuff that I enjoy more. But until then, I'm going to turn that mic back off, and we're going to get through this as quick as we can. Alright, chat, that's it. We're done with burnishing hell. I can put the grinder, the Dremel away and not touch it again, at least this evening. Alright. Set this off to the side, put some stuff away here. Kind of reset our space a little bit because we are done with these for the moment. This kind of pile of stack of collars and cuffs that's going out. We can come back and work on that later. For tonight, though, the rest of the evening, got a few other things that we can work on that I think are going to be more fun and hopefully more audibly enjoyable for everybody. All right, let's grab that. Yep, cuffs and collars, that's a big chunk of the work that I do, is a variety of different leather pieces, and that just happens to be a matching set. All right, so what we're going to be doing now, we take this lovely white strip of leather here, and we are going to start. You expected wholesome? There's like a mature warning on this stream when you when you click on it. What we're going to do is we are going to be turning this white piece of leather into some of these falconry anklets. Now, these are large-sided. Rather, they are very large-sized for, not for a real bird, but they're really fun. I like them a lot, and I'm glad I finally got an order of them. So we're going to pull our pattern, we're going to flip this back over, and we are going to see about building out our first set of anklets. Tonight, all we're really going to do is just the cutting. I have some other work that I need to do on these. I might be able to do them tomorrow when I stream, and we can continue on this. But for now, we're just going to focus on getting the cutting taken care of. All right, and to do that, I'm going to see about turning our mic back on, see if we can get some good noises in here. I don't know if the pen will pick up, but I do think that when we get to cutting, my scissors and the X-Acto knife should make some nice noises that people can enjoy. So I'm going to turn that mic on and see what we can get. I'm going to talk a little bit more quietly too, mostly so that I don't pick up on the other mic and get that weird echo again. We are picking up, so that's good. Probably just won't pick up this pen, and that's okay. Yes, this is one of the bird anklets. Yep. That is one set done. Face around, so I'm actually still on camera while I do this other one. So the patterns that I use are generally just a cardstock. And I will either cut them out manually, like I have done in this case, as I'm developing a pattern, or I will print them if I do the design digitally. But I seem to think that it works pretty well. I do my best to do all of my own patterns. I like having that custom element to it. And I just think it kind of makes the final product much nicer. All right. So we have our, I forgot the hole in this one. Add a quick correction here. We have the outlines ready to be cut. Let me try to adjust this noise a little bit. See if I can get this to come through a little better. A little bit better. There we are. We'll give that a go. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these in half, just so we're separated. And I'm going to grab my blade here, my ruler, and tack on some of these straight edges. Yep, we are definitely into the leather ASMR portion of this video. Go. Go. Coming along very nicely here. Come the last of this straight bit, and we'll have to switch over to the scissors, just because we'll get an easier curve. It does have that nice crunch. It just takes some practice. But there's also other tools that can help with making this stuff a little bit easier. I just don't happen to have all of them. Okay. Let's see. That's absolutely true. We can laser this stuff. Okay. Sounds a little bit better. Yeah, so I do have and use a laser cutter sometimes. That's how I get stuff like these little patches that are right here, or some of my, oh gosh, do I even have anything else that's laser cut out and about? Got a variety of things, but for smaller projects, things that are usually under 8 inches. Um, definitely will do some laser cutting, and hopefully that will be a part of that stream. Like Saturn just said, yeah, we kind of want to get a camera for it. Sorry, working on a mic. Interesting. Okay, one second. That's bizarre. I love how my audio has weirdly messed up for all of this. Huh. I was adjusting the sensitivity on a mic, specifically my desktop one, to try to pick up better noises, and it muted my entire computer. Yeah, that would actually be really cool. Definitely any information on that would be great. Thank you. I'm most frustrated because I had this all set up and working 100%, and then it died 5 minutes before the start of stream. And I had to recreate what I have right now from scratch in that like technical difficulty period. So, and you're right, it is the reality of streaming. But at the same time, I still would have loved for it to have been smoother. Yeah, we'll probably need to do something like that. That'll be something I'll probably talk with you about after stream, see if we can't get that problem fixed. All right, that's one cut out except for the interior portion, which we will get to in just a minute. Let's get the other one done. Here we go. Yeah, we sure do, Saturn. That is absolutely the truth. I will have to show off my sewing machine here in a little bit, because that's what we did. We went to a bowling alley and picked it up. It's the truth, though. It's absolutely the truth. To clarify, we bought the sewing machine online and just went to pick it up at a bowling alley. That was our meeting spot. But it was a fun experience nonetheless. So, I think I'm going to need to get a new blade. Yeah, for sure. So while I'm doing this and just changing this out, what hobbies do y'all have? Anybody else here a crafter? Okay. Oh, much better. Okay. This is one of those times we remember and realize that, oh my gosh, I should replace my blades more often. Ooh, belt stuff is fun. I actually haven't done a lot of belt stuff. It's stuff that I've looked into. I only just recently got interest on from somebody who wanted me to make a belt for them, and so it'll be kind of my first time working on that. I'm kind of excited to do it once we look at all the details. Also, I absolutely want to do more Ren Fair stuff. That is something I very much want to get into. Costuming and Ren Fair leather, a lot of fun. Ooh, what sort of minis do you paint? I mean, I'd be a little concerned if they're really, really big minis. And I'd have to ask if you're painting Mini Coopers. Warhammer is one of those that I have just not gotten into. It would probably like absolutely scratch an itch for me, which means it's very dangerous. And I need to be ready to sink a lot of time into it if I'm gonna ever try it. That's true. Tay is a Warhammer lesbian, so fair. That's true. I definitely need more skirts and mug holders. I actually want to do a book holder or a tea set holder in a Ren Fair style. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Okay, that is number 2. So I'm just going to pull some of the scraps off the table here. Play with these at a future date. Maybe do some laser stuff with them. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do now is we're going to work on getting some of these inner holes done. To do that, I am going to want to grab one of my hole punches here. Yeah, you should do nicely. Okay. We're going to mute this microphone real fast, specifically that ASMR one. Move this into place here. So this is my press. We are going to punch some holes in this. Ooh, a quill and ink holder would be really cool. I wish you all the luck in figuring that out and making one that you really, really like. Saturn, I'll make you a leather bound at some point. It'll be a fun project. Okay, go. Even if you never use it, it'll be worth it. Right. You're just gonna hole punch like this into either end. And do the same thing. I have to sharpen this bit a little bit. That will be a project for the future. Now, we'll make it work. There we go. Lots of slams, yep. Trying to avoid that. I want the more satisfying chunk, not a huge slam. Something more like that. Is a pretty good thump. Alright. Almost done there. Loosen that just a little bit. And give us one more good thunk. There we go. Much better. Okay, so we have our holes cut here. For these wider portions, this will be pretty simple. This is just going to be a straight line between the two holes now. Just like that. These are cut out. The final thump down. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Looking good so far. Now for the holes, there's a couple different ways that I do this typically. Probably the easiest is going to be just to go from one of the holes that I created across. Do this a couple of times just to score out that middle. Down. And should be able to get my scissors in here. Just start snipping around. Not super worried about getting this just perfect. I intentionally made these holes a little bit small so I can always widen them. Really only cutting a hole here to allow for the metal portions of the grommets to sit in. These will all be covered up in the end anyway. There we go. Looking good so far. Same thing I did here. Go across. And back across. There we go. Those holes on that one are done. Take a quick breather, grab some water, maybe stretch a little bit. Okay, that's much better. All right. I will be right back, folks. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. we are back. Back down a little bit so we catch a lot of sound. Thank you, thank you. Good to be back. All right. Perfect. I'm gonna finish this cutting, and once we get done with these, this is where we'll stop for this batch tonight, and we're actually gonna move on to cutting on something else. I've got a couple different projects that I'm kind of getting started on. So cutting through all this leather is kind of the first steps. Let's do our lines. Go. Trying to make sure I'm doing all of my cutting on the table so y'all can see it instead of pulling back and cutting the front of my face, as that wouldn't look good for the camera. You wouldn't be able to see anything. There we go. All right, one more to go. All right. Here. Now, the next step for these would be burnishing, but I'm not going to subject us to that again tonight. We'll probably do that part off stream. We can work on this again maybe tomorrow, which will be probably assembly, maybe some gluing and some stitching to get next steps on the inklets done. But we are well on our way to a nice, beautiful set of anklets. Very pleased with how these are turning out. When all said and done, they will have stitching and then a nice padding on the back. But for now, we are going to shift over and work a little bit on a satchel bag strap that I was asked to work on. It's a custom piece made specifically for a satchel bag that is that the satchel strap broke. So we are going to be working on replacing that. And to start, we are going to grab our raw leather. We are going to measure some stuff out, and then we are actually going to do a little bit of cutting. This will be a little bit different. We are going to use my leather stripping tool, which is this little piece right here. I should probably want you back here. Do this. I'm gonna close chat now on our window, just so we can see what we're looking at. So basically, we are going to adjust this to be 1.5 inches long, or 1.5 inches wide. We are already there. Perfect. And then we are going to run our leather through it, and it'll kind of cut that strip for us. Make sure some stuff's moved out of the way here. Last thing we need is for our leather to catch on anything. Okay. Just add a little bit. Actually, what is that? Also, we need to have no need to have that event list going for now. There's just not enough traffic to block so much of the screen. This is our leather. Now, the length is going to be effectively this entire roll. I did pre-measure all of this because I wanted to make sure I was getting the right stuff here. Right. I'm just going to get this nice and situated in our cutter, which is now just off screen because I need a little bit extra length here. Get this nice and situated, just so it doesn't pop up on us. Get a nice straight cut. Get some nice leather noises as we go. Some of my favorite. The strip cutting noises is really good. All right. There we go. Move that back up here. Basically, just going to cut this last little bit off. Just like that. There we go. Nice leather strip. Should be about 1.5 inches all the way through. double check our length here. So move some stuff out of the way. There we go. All right. 20. Perfect. So we're sitting right at 46 inches, which is exactly what we want to be looking for. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to square off these ends because the next step is we are actually going to dye this. So this is just kind of the raw color, and we want to go for kind of more a whiskey brown. So before we do any more cutting on it, we want to dye it and get it to the color that we want it to be. So again, to start, I'm just going to take these ends and square them off. Just like that. You don't have to be entirely perfect, but we do want to get really close. We don't want to waste a whole lot of leather. There we go. Okay. One nice long strap of leather here. Now we get to do some fun stuff. First things first, I'm going to see if I can't dig up my leather dye here. It's my chocolate. I need the whiskey. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. I mean, the whiskey does sound nice, doesn't it? We do need to get a new bottle of Centauri. Such good stuff. Okay. There's what I was looking for. I'm just going to lay this paper out here. Some stuff to weigh it down. And then I am going to go wet the rag real fast. Let's see. Okay. Here. Because leather tends to take a dye a lot more readily when it's a little bit wet. So, I'm just going to give this a quick wipe down. Just put a little bit of moisture right back in the leather. Make it a little more receptive to some of the dye. See that leather get darker as we wet it. Exactly what we're looking for. It will dry fairly quick, but that moisture will stick for a little bit, giving us some time to work. Now, the one thing I need to grab is gloves. This is something that I don't feel like staining my hands. Okay, getting all gloved up here. I'm really only going to focus on my left hand. My right hand, I'm going to be using the tool, and we should be able to keep that one pretty clean. And we're going to go over this probably 2 times, maybe 3 times. We're going to see how the leather kind of takes the dye and go from there. Go. Try to give this nice long strokes if we can. And I always start on the back because it gives me a little bit of practice so that the front is way nicer. Go back over with shorter strokes just to make sure we're getting good coverage here. This will soak in and lighten pretty significantly, as we will probably see tomorrow after we give it a little bit of time to dry. Back side is always a little bit thirstier than the front. Tends to take dye a little more readily. Now the front does. It generally will coat a lot less. Sometimes, especially on the front here, I may do a circular motion because I get better coverage that way. It does leave a texture to me, typically, but I actually think the texture looks pretty good. And with this pen, which is not something I usually use, it seems to be working way better. Go. Back through it. It really depends. Ideally, I might do another layer, but it really all depends on if the dye takes well. Sometimes it takes really, really well, and it's like, oh, this was just one and done. Other times, you kind of look at it and you're like, oh, this dried way lighter than I wanted, or it doesn't really have the texture of that look that I'm going for. In that case, I might do a second. Also, I apologize that desktop mic is picking up again. You hear it. Okay. So we're gonna let that set now. Probably dry it overnight. Once over. Sure, that'll be good. I also see that we still have some dye that hasn't gone on the edges very well. That's fine. Get a good paint here. jazzy Super Smash Bros. Mix is kind of nice. Enjoying it. Okay. Now, once this has a chance to dry, we'll see if we need another coat. Then we're just going to start cutting it down, getting the exact shape, as well as kind of like what we're looking for the satchel strap itself. But at some point, when I know it's good and dry, I'm also going to need to rub it down with neat's foot oil. So this is an oil-based dye, and as it dries, it's actually going to suck out a big chunk of the water that's in this leather naturally. It's going to make that a lot more stiff and a lot less like malleable to work with, which is not what I want. So giving it a good condition is going to help bring that leather back to the state that I want it to be in. Now though, that should be good. So I am going to go move this over here to dry. Make some space here. There we go. If I want to smooth out that kind of that rubbing pattern that I put on it, I'm just going to basically go over it again a few more times, doing the same thing but in different orientations, and that'll help kind of smooth that out. All right. Next on our agenda here, I had planned really for the dyeing stuff to take longer than it did. That went a lot faster than it does sometimes. At least get to a point where I'm at now. So, where I'm at is I have a couple projects I can work on that are more my own stuff. I've got some stitch work that I need to get done for one of my own personal collars. And then, oh gosh, what else do I need to do tonight? We could start cutting the back pieces for the anklets, the padding pieces. Any preference from anybody? Oh, I'm glad to hear that. This is definitely meant to be a pretty relaxing stream. I think I am going to see about grabbing some of my thread, maybe see if I can stitch up my collar and finish that up. I think that's a good thing to do, and it'll take a little bit of time. Probably once we're done with that, might call it for the night. I am going to be hand stitching this, mostly because the thread that I want to use for this particular piece does not work in my sewing machine. It's one of my hand stitch threads, so I need to hand stitch this piece. I'm hoping to start doing more machine stitching as I get a chance, but right now that's going to be probably for future projects, and more so when I have more thread color choices to offer. So we're going to use this particular thread here. This is what I've used for a lot of my personal stuff, so I'm just trying to make it match. And it's just too thick of a thread for my sewing machine. Yeah, I like this color a lot. I've made a few pieces like it, or with this thread. Definitely want to make more. There we go. Just to get that out of the way. Thank you, I like this color a lot. It's now for hand stitching. I'm usually just doing a solid saddle stitch. Just my preferred stitch. And I could do some easier ones. I like strength. I like the strength of the saddle stitch. I like how it looks. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And this up. Just like that. Do the other side. Now, one thing I don't have, I would love to get at some point, is a stitching pony. Those are kind of a clamp that would hold this piece of leather up and vertical in a way that I could do my stitching without needing to hold it. But until I get that, I will settle with what I've got here, and that's just the same process that I've been doing forever. Just set up here. Bear with me, I move around a lot when I sew. It's just a little bit easier for me. I try to keep it on the table so everybody can see. But I'm gonna have to get used to that. Saddle stitch is a pretty basic stitch, but it's a very strong one. That's why it's called saddle stitch. It's been used largely for saddle making for as long as we've been making, you know, cowboy western style saddles. Largely overkill for a lot of the stuff that I make. Not experiencing the same level of stress or strain on these pieces, but do like knowing that my stuff is strong and durable and is going to last for a while. So I enjoy doing a bit of an overkill stitch. It means my work is going to be nice. stitch away from me. Anyway, let's the camera see what we're doing here. So, starting to get a rhythm down. I love this variegated color of thread. It's just really nice seeing my stitches change colors throughout. Hello and welcome to anybody who is new or just stopping by. My name's Birdie. I'm a leather worker. I kind of own and operate my own leatherworking business, and I'm basically here just to do a chill stream while I work on leather stuff, talk with people, answer questions about my craft and my trade, and generally just see if this is something that I want to keep doing. So thanks for stopping by. Good night, Bunnabold. Have a good night. Sleep well. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Fibble. Hoping to do this again tomorrow around the same time, so feel free to stop by again if you would like. And yeah, I get it. East Coast, you're way further ahead. I appreciate you staying up late for this. Have a good night. I feel like if I can't have my mics on while I do burnishing, I'm just thinking about how chill this section is, just kind of sewing and chatting, enjoying the calm. Maybe I just play like metal during the burnishing. You know, represent the rage I feel in my soul while I'm actually, grinding the leather. And we'll start there, start the stream high energy with the hell that is burnishing, and then just slow it back down towards the end of the night with something chill. like stitching or dyeing leather colors or something along those lines. Don't know how well this is coming through for y'all. I might have an option here. I'm gonna try something. If I can get it going, we're gonna see if this works. So bear with me. Definitely still here. Just seeing what I can do. Highlight. Yeah, that'll work actually. Okay. Transition back down to here. There we go. Give myself a little bit of a zoom here so that people can see what we're working with. We might have hit the playlist. Let me see where we're at. I sure did. Good call. Either that or my music app may have just crashed. Let's restart that here. Okay, there we go. actually very pleased with how the variegation of the color is doing this time around. So got a nice like fade from that red and orange to pink. Go a little bit further forward here. There we go. Down to yellow. I don't always get that. I don't try to go for it, but it is nice to see when it happens. There we go. Oh, but I really feel like it was punched well. Alright, stitching's coming really pretty nicely. I say as I get a couple holes that are a little bit stubborn. I hope everyone's week has been going well. It's a middle of the week right now, so we still have a few days left, but hopefully the week has been relatively kind to you. And fingers crossed you're able to wind down if you aren't already. I'm just here stitching a collar right now. This is a personal piece, so this is not for someone else. This is just for myself. But it's a great opportunity for me to kind of figure out the style that I like, as well as to try new things. In this case, this is a thinner style collar, so a 3/4 inch. That still has padding. It's not anything new for me, just not something I've done in a while. Most of the time when I get an order or someone wants a collar, they usually want a 1-inch collar. So there's a bit of a difference on those. This one tends to be a little bit narrower, but I still try to make sure that it's got like the padding and it's super comfortable, which is right now what I'm stitching to the collar itself. Yeah, as always, thank you for joining me. Hope you all are having a nice time, enjoying the music. If you have any questions about leather, what I'm doing or why, anything like that, please feel free to ask it. I'll be happy to answer. Or just feel free to chat. I'm also here just to chat. You want to tell me about a show that you've been watching or how your day is going. Happy to listen. Also, don't forget to stay hydrated. Make sure you're drinking some water, and generally just take care of yourself. I also just realized that I never updated the "What Are We Doing" piece. Now fast. There we go. honestly, hand stitching is absolutely one of the most time-consuming elements of the work that I do. I like it better than burnishing, mostly because I don't get covered in little tiny pieces of leather like I do from burnishing, because there's kind of a sanding element that burnishing includes. But this process certainly is what makes making my stuff take longer, for better or for worse. I think it looks really good. I definitely think it's worth it. I am, of course, looking at alternatives in the sense of like I have a leather sewing machine. I might break it out here in just a little bit just to play with it. Take a break from this maybe once I finish this side of this collar. Because yeah, you're right. It can be a little mind-numbing. And when I'm doing really big projects with a lot of stitching, and it's like, not only is it mind-numbing, but I feel like I come out of the project and I can't feel my fingers. I'm like, I have to take several days break just to recover, at least from stitching. In this case, though, we're working on a good clip, going pretty quickly. Just about a quarter of the way done stitching the entire collar, which is good. I'm happy to do that. It's like 15 minutes. Looks like we could continue and power through and probably be done with this by about 11 o'clock, which is what I want when I want to be finished. That said, I do still want to take a break, maybe pull the sewing machine out, just do a little bit of playing, because I'm still learning on the sewing machine as well, and it's still an exciting piece for me, so I like to get some practice in. I think what we'll do is maybe finish up this whole side here, so that it's just all the way back to the start, and then we will take a break on this. I'm gonna finish out the evening just doing some practice on the sewing machine. She's a little finicky. She's a vintage sewing machine. Basically one of the Japanese clones of the Singer, I believe the 15A, the A15 model sewing machine from the 1940s and 50s. Made completely out of steel, incredibly hardy, durable, can definitely sew through leather, but she's got some quirks, so always worth doing some practicing. Yeah, I'm really excited to work with it more. Most of my work on these collars and whatnot, for like specialty threads like I'm using right now, will probably stay hand stitched, just because I want to keep using these threads. I like them. I think people like them. But I'm hoping for some stuff like harnesses and kind of bigger pieces like bags, we'll get into the sewing machine so that I can do that more effectively. I mean, some of it's just practice. I certainly won't say, like, I certainly have stabbed myself on accident before. So I definitely just practice. It actually helps, though, that these needles are a lot thicker and a lot bigger. You feel like that makes them more intimidating. But in reality, it just kind of makes them easier to kind of navigate and figure out like where they are in relation to your fingers. just barely gonna have enough thread. I did not give myself enough excess. A little fun fact about the saddle stitch. Generally, you need to have about 4 times the amount of thread pulled as you're going to run. Meaning, if I'm running down and around and all the way back, I need to make sure I have 4 times that length. But typically, for collars like this, I have that pretty well down by heart. I kind of know what those measurements are and I can eyeball it. It looks like this time it's going to be really close. It's a great question. So if I underestimate, the easiest solution is to end my tie or end my stitch a few pieces before the end, and then just grab some new thread and finish with a new thread. I can generally hide using back stitches. I can hide the end of the original line and then match it with another thread. The correction's not too hard. It may be slightly more noticeable with this variegated thread, just because the thread changes colors. But I think it would still be pretty simple. Not super noticeable in the long run. So it was very possible nothing to do with this one. Generally, measure. If I have double my length, I'm good. So on this side I do. On the other side of thread, I'm not sure I do. So I'm going to find out here in a minute. If I need to get a new set of thread, then that's what we're going to do. Guessing it says I might have enough. Welcome if you're just joining. We are just kind of having a chill sewing session. I'm stitching together a collar. So this is a leather collar that I made. I'm a leather worker. And we're just kind of stitching and chatting. And just kind of being chill for the end of the night. I'm gonna do this for a little bit longer. Once I get to a good stopping point, I might break out the sewing machine and just give it a try on stream. It'll be a hand crank vintage sewing machine. And we'll just kind of practice with it at the end of the night. what I need to do is I need to go think about what I want to do, A, for next stream tomorrow, as far as what I want to focus on, and B, I need to look and see what sort of digital designs I want to start putting together. So we have a number of projects that I could do that are that I can do digital designs for. I just need to figure out what I want to do. So that'd be a fun one to look at as well. Just kind of look through the design process and maybe even get the laser engraver running. See what that looks like. Making good time, good progress here. So, I just have enough for this. Thank you again to everybody who stopped by tonight, and those of you that are still here. This is my first stream. I'm mostly doing this for a few reasons. One, because I've wanted to for a long time, and because I recently lost my job, so I have a lot of spare time on my hands at the moment, and I figured it might be fun to actually get into this. I do leatherworking as a kind of side business that I've started, and I just thought it might be fun. It's a passion of mine. I thought it might be fun to share with people. But yeah, so if you're here, thank you for being here. Thank you for chilling with me. Whether you just joined or have been here the entire stream through all the technical difficulties of a first-time streamer, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and I'm having a good time. I think I definitely want to keep doing this. I've got some cool ideas for the future. Definitely have some ideas for fixing some of the problems that I had, this evening. And I think it will be really fun to keep doing this going forward. Yeah, so here's my mistake. It's not super noticeable, but you can see that one thread is slightly longer than the other, which is my fault. I usually try to balance those a little bit better. I just did not this time. So it means we might have one thread that does not quite make it to the end. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna make it. I think we're gonna have to do another bit. So it'll take a little bit longer than anticipated. Should still be right on time here. in this next stitch, what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and finish this one off so that we can jump in with a new line and correct the mistake I made here. So to do that, in the back stitch, I'm going to pull the excess out the side on both angles here. Sometimes the hardest part is getting the needle to go where you want it, especially when it's not back the same way that it originally went. All right, there we go. We have both coming out the side now. Pretty simple. I usually do one quick overhand. Make my fingers move. There we go. And we're just going to tighten that in, just like that. Give a nice close trim here, just like that. Now, before we do anything else, we actually want to kind of finish that off because we don't want it to be loose or come undone. So I usually will take a second and melt the ends of those threads, tuck them up underneath. Of course, I'm doing this off screen. Oops. I end up doing this underneath the side of a thread here. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, but in the grand scheme and looking at it from far away, it's almost never noticeable. I can keep pushing it up under there, try to get it a little hidden just a bit more. So that's how we finish that off. Now, like I said, we still need to finish the thread here. So what I'm going to do first is we are going to pull off the thread we are no longer using off our needles. Grab another probably 1.5 to 2 feet of thread from our spool, which I'm starting to run out of. Great. Should have enough for this collar. This should be good. Stick that down. So, got a nice bit of thread here. I'm gonna throw this back up. Shoot the needle here. Just get that nice and threaded on the needle itself. Do the same for the other side. So saddle stitches require 2 needles. And you work from both sides of the thread. There we go. Now we've got 2 needles here. I want to go back in the hole that our last thread finished in. Make sure it's lined up nicely. Just going to work it through. Go. I will take both of these needles. We typically want to make this a even thread here, but once I do, Once I have them even on both sides, I can continue stitching just like I never stopped. Have a good night. Thank you so much for stopping by and sticking around for a while. And hope to see you again. And just like that, we're back to stitching. And it looks pretty much like we've never stopped. I might take a tool here and see if I can't push the ends in a little bit further just to hide them. Normally this wouldn't be an issue, but because this is a white collar with a white backing, it's a little more noticeable. I can usually hide that pretty well. See? Yeah, we're just going to finish up our stitching here. Thank you, puppy. I think it looks pretty good too. I'm pretty pleased with how this one turns out. Don't get me wrong, I really like the 1-inch wide collar that I made. That looks almost identical to this. And I'm excited for a 3/4 inch, just because it's going to be that much more comfortable for me to wear. I tend to like the narrower collars. Eventually I'll get around to finishing my full set of cuffs too. I'll have them cut. They're all in this color and they're going to be in the same design. I have them all cut, but it's been low priority compared to the rest of the work that I do. So over time I'll get them done. Just a few stitches away. Almost done here. Just about there. About 5 more stitches left. Honestly, thank God for that. And about done with hand stitching tonight. All right. Almost there. There we go. And the last little half stitches to finish it off. There we go. All right. And a quick tie. Go. There we are. Nice. And finished. Here we go. That collar is halfway stitched. Yeah. We'll put a pause on that for tonight, I think. We have about 20 more minutes before I'm going to call it. So we might pull out the sewing machine and just give it a few stitches. Might end a few minutes early, depending on where I'm feeling after I get that going. But I do want to give it a shot. Also, let y'all see it. Just because I really like it. And it's a cool machine. So let me get this cleaned up. I'll square it away here. Get the camera zoom back out. And we'll go from there. Okay. A few of us that are still here, we are going to play with the sewing machine. There we go. It's not, but it'll work. Okay, let's get our sewing machine out. Also, it's an update on our whiskey dye here. Pretty good. Probably use another coat to really kind of saturate it a little bit better, give it a smoother kind of like whiskey finish. But I'm actually pretty pleased with how that's looking so far. All right. We are going to finish the night here. This lovely sewing machine. It is a really, really pretty machine. Let's add up just a little bit. Go. Just a little bit of tension here. Okay. I think what we're going to start with here is just some of our scrap white leather. We have a few pieces here. I'm still getting some of the tensioning down on this. And as I said, this machine can be a little bit finicky at times. It's an old machine. It's not technically built for leather work. That's just kind of what it does, and what I've been doing it for. Now these are solid machines, so it should still do just fine, and it has been for the most part. It's just kind of a game of learning its quirks. Now for leather work, most of the time, I am going to start with the back stitch. That will help lock us in here. Switch that over to forward stitch. A little bit of adjustment. There we go. And now I'm just going to kind of crank it smoothly out. Seems to be handling this leather pretty nicely. So immediately run into go. There we are. So we're walking nicely now. And get a bit of a clip going here. Obviously just watching and seeing. You should start to see as it comes out on the back side, you'll see the finished stitch piece. This is just what I'm going to call a sewing dog. So this is just a piece of scrap leather we're using for practice. Get that tension, make sure things aren't getting caught. Theoretically, I could run this machine electric, and it certainly works well that way, but I find it way easier to hand stitch or to crank stitch rather, for leather, just because leather has a tendency to be a little more fickle, and the holes, once in it, are not coming out. Yeah, one of the quirks of this machine is that it sometimes gets caught just a little bit. Not there. Yeah, so my tension's not super great here. This is where we would adjust a fair bit more. In this case, see, hopefully this will focus. You see the stitching on the back side is not super nice. This is why we practice. So we have a really nice front stitch, but a really bad back stitch. This means that there's a tensioning issue. Generally, it means the upper tension is probably a little bit too loose for the leather, which means I should adjust it. Put it back in here, another piece, or rather the same piece. We're just going to see if that fixes the problem. Listen closely, you can hear that leather being stitched. Get the mic in closer here. Really looking to pinch it a bit, but here we go. Here we go. Believe it or not, once dialed in, this is still going to be generally faster than hand doing it, and also a little easier. So I can't complain too much. Would love to eventually get a more professional, dedicated leather machine, but for where we're at, I really can't complain too much. All right. Oh yeah, that's much cleaner. So I'll try to show this to y'all. You can see this inside stitch is the stitch that I just did. I adjusted the tension a little bit. We can see comparatively, this is a much cleaner stitch on the back side than it was on the front. Again, this is why going forward, I'm definitely going to have to make sure I have Stitch Dog ready so I can practice, any of the stitching that I am going to do. Just because that's like, I need to know if it's going to have issues, and that definitely will help me learn and help me know. So, yeah, that said, I am probably going to call it here. We've been going for just about almost 4 hours, and it's getting late, and I'm getting tired. I'm not used to this yet, but I think we got a lot done. Exciting. Tomorrow, I'll try to be back on around 7 o'clock. I'll try to go about the same amount of time. I can't promise I will, but I'm going to try. And the next week, kind of going forward, I'm going to hopefully do kind of a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule, where Mondays are going to be during the day. So think like 10 to 2, where I'm going to keep doing leather stuff, keep working on a variety of different things. Then Wednesday and Thursdays are going to be more about 7 to 11. And then if I do any other streams, they'll kind of be pop-ups or maybe stuff that's not necessarily related to the work I'm doing. Maybe eventually I'll get into doing some gameplay, doing just some playing with some friends or something. We'll see, but I'm hoping to do this more often. Thanks everybody for sticking around. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.